Hey, Bayek, it's me, Ian. And in today's video, I'm looking at this. This is Brighton Rock from 1948. And this is a classic British gangster noir film. There's no like this. It's really grand, even though they did a remake of this set in the 1960s. This one is just something special, certainly, and it's a British film as well. It's fantastic. I'm already telling you already, aren't I? Anyhow, it's 92 minutes long. It is on Rotten Tomatoes 95%, which is very high. But I think at the time, some critics were not so fanciful about this film. It's certainly a reputation that has grown very much over the years, and quite rightly so as well. It is an absolute classic. Now, it's written, the screenplay, by Graham Greene and Terence Rattigan. Now, Graham Greene, of course, is a celebrated author in English literature terms, and has written so many great novels. Now, this is based on Brighton Rock, which is a Graham Greene novel, and that was from 1938. There had been a play adaptation which Graham Greene didn't like, and which the star of this film was in, but he got over that and accepted that he should take the role, which he did. We'll come to that very soon. Now, this is directed by John Balting. John Balting is very much part of the Balting brothers. His twin brother, Roy Balting. And yeah, this is just one of his films. He didn't do as many as his brother, but he's very much involved in the production. But certainly, films that he did were Journey Together, 1945. She directed, which was a war drama, which had Richard Attenborough. Yes. The Magic Box, 1951. He directed that film, and I guess who was in that? Richard Attenborough, and a few other directors you might come across. Lucky Jim, 1957 he did, and of course there was I'm All Right, Jack, which was from 1959, which is very much a recognized film that is loved. And his last film that I can point out is Rotten to the Core from 1965 that he did as a director, but he still carried on involved with his brother. Now, the music is by Hans May, who was somebody who come over escaping from, I think, Austrian when the Nazis took over, and got involved in very much film scores in this country. And then after war, I think he stayed a while, but he did eventually go back to Austria and did a lot of composing. Yeah, this is a very good score as well. The important other aspect of this film to point out is that it is, for its time, it's unusual because it's filmed on location, a lot of it. Yes, there are the studio scenes filmed in it, but it was very unusual. And of course, they went up to Brighton, and that's one of the great things watching this film is seeing Brighton in this period of time. It is actually set in 1935, the story, so it's in the interwar years, about gangsters in Brighton, but it looks great. So we get all that location. In America, it was released as Young Scarface and wasn't very successful at all. Um, they felt, I don't know, it just didn't click. I don't think British kind of gangster noir films for them would really fit. They even felt it was quite tame, whereas in terms of our senses, we were very much worried about it, the violence, and it certainly got quite a reaction, not just from that, but from the not just censors, but the critics as well about the violence. It's because it was considered really quite horrific for its time. I mean, now we look at it and just think, but then it caused quite public debate actually about it. And Brighton is interesting because, the way Brighton became another public debate in the 60s with the violence of the mods and rockers. So interesting parallels, and that's probably what I haven't seen the remake. The remake probably is set in that sort of particular area in Brighton, looking at the violence in the 1960s. Anyhow, I'm going on a bit. Let's go to the cast. Richard Attenborough, he stars as Pinky Brown, and what a performance. This is recognised in so many great roles that Richard Attenborough had. 1948, In Which We Serve, was his first film. Then there's The Magic Box. That's 1951 he was in. Dunkirk, 1958. I'm All Right, Jack, 1951. The League of Gentlemen, 1950. 1960, The League of Gentlemen. I'm All Right, Jack, actually, was 1959. Then there was The Great Escape, of course. The Great Escape, what a film, 1963. Seance on a Wet Afternoon, 1964, which I absolutely love. Seance on a Wet Afternoon. I think it's a superb film. And of course, his real performance that people talk so much about is 10 Rillington Place in 1971. What a performance that is. It's just so outstanding. I think he's a great actor, and we should talk about him more. Of course, he was in Jurassic Park. Yeah, Jurassic Park, 1993. And he also reprised his role in 1997 in Jurassic Park: The Lost World. So there we are. Then he was a director. I could talk about him as a director. He's fantastic as a director. Wonderful. Then we've got Hermine, I'll get this right. Himone Baddeley playing Ida Arnold. She was in Passport to Pimlico, 1949. She was in Scrooge, brilliant Scrooge, 1951. She was in Mary Poppins, 1964. She always plays this particular kind of role, she's a very much important part of this film. Then we've got Carol Marsh playing Rose Brown. What a debut. This was a debut, and they cast so well. They must have known straight away how good she was in this. This, as I said, this was her first film. She did a few other films. She got not a massive career of films. Alice in Wonderland, 1949, she was in. She was in Scrooge, funny, yeah, again, linking up. She was in Scrooge, 1951. And, of course, she's most famous for Dracula, the Hammer film, 1958. She's fantastic in that as well. So then we've got William Hartnell. Yeah, William Hartnell playing Dallo. William Hartnell, he was in The Magic Box. I keep pointing that film up, Magic Box, 1952. He was in Carry On Sergeant, 1958. He was in a very important film as well, which is The Sporting Life, 1962, which is a Lindsay Anderson directed film, um, which stars Richard Harris. He was in that. It's considered important. And of course, Doctor Who. He's the first Doctor, 1963 to 1966. He was wonderful as the first brilliant Doctor. Then we've got Harcourt Williams as Pruitt. He was in Hamlet, 1948. Olivier, of course. Then The Magic Box, again, 1951. And his last film, Around the World in 80 Days. Yes! Wow! We've got it all here, haven't we? Yes, we have. Anyhow, that is the main cast members. So, what is the film about? Now, it's, as I said, set in Brighton in 1935. And there's small town gangster leader, I suppose he is the leader really, which is, of course, Pinky Brown, the character that Richard Attenborough plays so well. And he murders a journalist. This journalist, they believe, is responsible for the death of this gangster connected in their sort of area. And everything revolves around what's happened there. Now, when he is trying to escape this journalist, he latches on to this woman called Ida, and they get kind of attached to each other. And she doesn't believe that he committed suicide, that he was murdered, which in fact we know he was, and therefore she is determined to prove that. And that is another important facet to this film. Now, Pinky needs an alibi, and because a certain mistake has been made in terms of identification, and he meets this young waitress called Rose. She's very young, almost innocent, you could say, at the time, but she kind of falls in love with him. But of course, he's just using her. He's a cold psychopath, and but he uses her, and he falls in love. She falls in love with him, but he decides to get married. And he thought, well, if you get married, that's it. He totally silenced her, and she kind of stays loyal. She does know what he's like, but that's what the interest parts of this story is, and that unravels and develops, and of course it kind of leads to an inevitable tragic conclusion, maybe, or is it? Well, is it inevitable? I don't know, but I think the way the story develops is superb, and the film is done in this wonderful way. The way it's just the cinematography is fantastic. The Brighton has never looked so much like a film noir place. It's just the dark corners of it, and everything about this. It's just wonderful. The acting, everything comes together and works so well. You cannot but enjoy this. And of course, we have got these themes about good and evil and Catholicism. Yeah, in fact, that it was felt that they shouldn't put too much about the Catholicism in this, or even get rid of it. But we get those Catholic themes so much, and of course, it's the ending that is the talking point. The ending. Some people believe, and I think Graham Greene wanted the dark ending, where it would question about faith and that. But yeah, the ending they give still does that, and it's shocking. In whichever way, it's shocking both ways. That maybe is the beauty of this ending. That the fact is that either endings would have been shocking, And that is the strength of this film. It is so good. It's something you just have to see to believe, you know. What a film. I mean, it's one of the great outstanding pieces of British cinema. And the performance, as I say, from Richard Attenborough is just shows you what a good actor he was, and it defined his career in so many ways. Fantastic film. I can't recommend it more and more. It's just great. And before I go, I'll just show you. Here's my Blu-ray copy of it. There he is on the front. There's the back. There's a few little extras which are quite interesting and add to it. But it's essential. Yes. And that's it. So if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. And then we'll let you know when I put out these videos. Have a look at the playlists and have a look at things you might enjoy, or perhaps you won't. And also, if you like this particular video, please give it a like. It gets it out onto YouTube and algorithms and all that. And if you've got any comments, please put your comments down. I love to read your comments. And these are all cost notes. You can't say fairer than that. So by heck, that's it. So all I gotta say is, I'll see thee again.